Oh, there we go. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Lori. How are you?
Okay, first of all, I want everybody to notice we have Lauren's beautiful smiley face with us today, and we can hear her. Isn't that awesome? We've got our Lauren back, and I could not be happier about that. Welcome back, Lauren. I am so glad you are feeling better, and you are a trooper staying with us during all the things you were going through. So, welcome, welcome, and welcome to those that are frequent flyers, and welcome to everybody new. It is going to be a really fun, exciting, entertaining show. We got some cool things to talk about today.
Don't we, though? I mean, we've got a pretty, well, not pretty, we've got an extremely interesting guest. And then Lori has, of course, a ton of fun things to share with you. Some super serious, but Lori knows what she's talking about. Just take your notes or check out the replay. I'll include the link in the chat. With that,
And
Lori,
you
I'm
can
gonna go ahead.
always get in touch with Lauren. I'm going to say that ahead of time because I got announcements today. Get in touch with Lauren. There's a few people that emailed just the other day. I got in touch with
Yes,
most of you guys. So if it takes a couple days, know that Lauren is making sure every email you send to her gets to me. It gets to me.
that's right.
Know you're being heard. Okay, Lauren, take us away.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and get this presentation started. So for our frequent flyers, welcome back. Always great to see you guys, or virtually see you. And then for those of you who are new with us, bear with us and get to we hope that you join us again. But sit back and just hear a little bit about who we are, what we're doing here today, and then enjoy the ride or enjoy the show, as we say. My name again is Lauren Simpson. I am with the SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center. We are a national program with over 1,000 locations across the country, and we offer no-cost services to local small businesses. Now, our services are at no cost to you because your tax dollars have already taken care of our fees. For the Los Angeles Regional Network, we have several locations throughout the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties, the counties that we serve. And you'll see them notated on the map in front of you. You'll see that we are in Camarillo, Santa Clarita, Pasadena, all the way out to Laverne. That's that little waymark by Ontario, throughout Los Angeles, the South Bay, down into Long Beach. Now, again, remember I said your tax dollars are at work, or your tax dollars have already taken care of our fees. Here's what you've been paying for. So we are able to offer no cost services to local small businesses. Now, again, our services are at no cost to you, and you should definitely partake in them. We offer business advising. Again, you're able to sit one-on-one with one of our business experts. And we have experts in various fields, from marketing to trade, and export. If you are looking to start a business, you want to create a business plan, we have someone for you. If you need some help with your marketing strategies, of course, we have people for you. And then again, if you are looking to get your numbers in order, lucky for you, our regional network has the pleasure of being able to offer Lori Williams services. She is our guru of all numbers. So if numbers scare you, like they used to me, you definitely want to make sure you get in contact with her, or set up an appointment with her, I should say. And then we also offer virtual trainings, and those trainings are going to be comprehensive workshops that assist you in beginning your business, adapting your business, and or growing. So I know all of that was a mouthful. Here's the one you really need to pay attention to. Get in contact with us today. We'd love to help you. If you are in the Los Angeles area, you can reach us at 866-588-7232. Now, I said Los Angeles, but I meant our service area. So that means Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, or Ventura counties. Go to that phone number, or you can go to our website, smallbizla.org/new client. Now, if for some reason you are joining us but you are outside of our service area, then please go to americasSBDC.org/find your SBDC. They will be able to assist you in locating an SBDC office where you can get some help. So quickly, I'm going to stop my screen share for now. Lori, I just want to reiterate that everyone put their questions into the Q&A, and then the chat's going to be reserved for useful links. Again, if you want to watch the playback of this show or previous shows, if you would like to get into contact with Lori, my information will be in the chat. And then the links, all the useful links that Lori's going to be sharing with you today. All right, Lori, back to you. Thank you.
So Lauren, before we get going, Emma, kind enough to let us know that the chat is disabled. So if you could create the chat to be enabled, I'm sure everybody wants to have great chats in there. And also a kind of a reminder on Zoom has started where the default is host and panelist. Make sure when you're putting it in the chat, it's going to everybody. I see your wonderful messages. Lauren sees it, but we want to make sure that you're able to share. So welcome everybody. I got a few announcements that I'm going to make today. Once again, I have my upcoming webinars, the legal structure and the tax advantages, as well as the financial series. Lauren's putting that in the chat so you know how to sign up for those webinars. I'm going to also announce the upcoming shows, and then I'm going to go into some announcements I want to make. So next week, we have one of our favorite frequent flyers, Randy. I don't know if you're in the audience, but a shout out to Randy. Now, this is how I'm going to introduce you for next week, Randy, and you're going to laugh. So, Randy, I was thinking about it this morning. There is so many things I can say about what we're going to talk about the show next week, but Randy has weathered the storms over the years. That's Randy. And she has so much wisdom and she's always sharing it with people. And I was kidding. I was said, you know what? We're going to have a show where we're going to talk about what do you learn from everybody that sits in the chair to get their hair cut. But really, seriously, Randy's been around. She has such great wisdom. And the word I love the most are the words, this is Randy, common sense. That's Randy. So Randy's going to come share with us her words of wisdom. Then the week after, we have Sharon Beck coming on, and she is the owner of Project Tidy. Now, this is a technology-based strategy consulting firm. What I'm really excited of having Sharon come on is I don't think I've ever had somebody come on that is a consulting firm, which is basically a service-based company. And I've been wanting to have more people come on that can talk about the difference and things they have to consider and the challenges and benefits and et cetera. And so Sharon's going to come on and talk about her company and how to, it's different with a service-based company. Now, I'm going to keep bringing this up for a while because there's still a lot of confusion on it. It's the beneficial ownership information. This is a new reporting requirement. A new reporting requirement. This is from the federal government. Specifically, it's through FinCEN, which is actually a bureau of the U.S. Department of Treasury. Historically, FinCEN was involved in many things, but one of them monitoring money laundering. So it was something you guys wouldn't even have been aware of. But they started a new requirement as of this year, the beginning of this year, where you have to fill out a form that requires you to also upload either a state ID or a passport and identify who is the beneficial owner. One of these times I got so many announcements, but in the next couple of shows, I'm going to show you some links and go over it a little bit more in detail. But I just want you to know the deadlines. If you were already incorporated, Soul Props, guess what? Soul Props, go like this. You don't have to know. Soul Props don't have to know. But if you were already incorporated, you probably are a reporting company and you've got till January 1st of 2025. That's next year, guys. So you don't have to do this till next year. But if you're incorporated this year, you have 90 days to do it. And next year, they're going to lower it to 30. $500 a day, 10,000. I think 2 years jail if you don't do this. So it's real important, guys. So I want to make sure you're aware of that. Another announcement. I got big announcements today. Sorry, but I want you guys to be aware. There is a situation where there's a March 3rd deadline. So borrowers with a COVID-IO loan or a PPP under 100,000 that are not making payments and are in default, it's going to be referred to the U.S. Treasury for collection. And so in that, the SBA is got two situations depending on whether you have a PPP or an EIDL loan. If you have a loan under 100,000, you use the money to the eligible resources. You can still apply for forgiveness. If you have a COVID loan under 100,000, you can apply for a hardship. We're doing webinars. I'm doing one today. Lauren's going to put the links to it in the chat. I'm also doing one on Friday, and my colleague Carrie is doing one tomorrow. And I have a colleague that is Maria that's also doing it in Spanish. I don't know of her schedule, but Lauren may. So she's going to put those in the chat. So if this is anybody that needs to know more information on this, that you can find it out through these webinars. Quick thing I want to bring up. I had so many announcements. I almost wasn't going to add this today because I wanted to have time for our guests. So I'm going to go through this quick, but I'm seeing this so much, guys. I want to bring this up. When you are referring to your legal structure and your tax structure, when you're incorporated or you have any kind of business structure, I'm going to talk about a sole prop, an LLC, an S corp. I always say to you, nomenclature matters. Now, I'm not trying to make you an English major, but these words, sole prop, LLC, S corp, self-employed person, employee, misclassification, employee, these are legal words that seem so simple, but they really set out a distinctive pathway, an identifier, no different than if I was to say my name and social security number. What I'm finding is people are getting these names mixed up. And when they communicate, especially with government officials, regulations, they fill out the forms wrong. They don't realize what they are. They're mixing the names. So you'll notice that I have two different sides. I have what is the legal structure, state, and how is it taxed, federal. You want to have a dividing line in your mind, and you want to know that the legal structures, such as the sole prop, LLC, and S corp, these are pending on state registration. In a sole prop, it is a default. You don't have to register, but it's still based on state, okay? How you are taxed is on federal. So, for example, a sole prop is taxed as a self-employed person to the IRS. A LLC is taxed as a self-employed person to the IRS. Therefore, an LLC, a single member LLC, is taxed the same as a sole prop. That doesn't mean you can interchange the word saying I'm a sole prop LLC. Those are two different structures. Those are like saying I'm a giraffe and I'm a zebra. You could say I'm a single member LLC, which I know is taxed in the same fashion as a sole prop. You can say that. But what people are doing is they're being asked for the legal structure and they're confusing the names. And so an S corp, you are actually an employee of the company. And so that's not being taxed as a self-employed person. You're actually an employee and a shareholder. If you're an LLC and you choose to be taxed as an S corp, you're still an LLC legally. That did not change. I know I went through a lot. I'll break it down again when I have time. I'm just seeing so many of the reports that have to be filled out right now, like the BOI and this idle and all this, and I wanted to bring this up. So no, my takeaway, no, when you think your structure, think one column. What is my legal structure? Know that legal structure. How you are taxed probably isn't something you're going to have in general conversation, except for with your accountant at the time of taxation. But don't confuse your legal structure with your tax structure. Okay, guys, enough of the non-fun stuff. I know everybody is like me. Let's get to the fun stuff. So I am really excited to have our guest on, and this is how I'm going to begin the introduction. What does backpacking and electric vehicles have to do with each other? Now, that's a good question, right? Well, Chris is going to tell us about the history of his company, and he said it all started during a memorable backpacking trip in the breathtaking San Bernardino National Forest. I've been there many times myself. I know how beautiful that is. So as he wrote it, as we immersed ourselves in nature's beauty, a brilliant idea struck us. We could make a positive impact on our planet while building a successful business. And that's how Driver was born. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, hi everybody.
I'm so glad to have you. Now, what we're going to do is we got Lauren standing in the background here. She is going to bring up some pictures because normally I don't show pictures immediately, but unless you see what we're talking about, people are never going to have in their mind's eye what we're speaking on. So, Chris, tell us, what are we looking at here?
All right. First off, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And what you're looking at here is one of our vehicles. So these are LSVs or low speed vehicles. Pretty much everyone calls them golf carts, right? They basically resemble a golf cart, but they are street legal. So they're registered, they have VIN numbers, all that good stuff. All that's necessary so, so we can be insured. So basically, you can rent these, and we're based in Long Beach. Started here in Long Beach. I'm a longtime resident, so the best area to start it. We got a huge tourism, and just the best area. We got beaches, we got everything. So you can rent these out for the day, or you can rent them out by the hour. And we also use these for shuttling. We shuttle guests to the main entrance of a concert like the Queen Mary, or we'll do corporate events, which I'll speak on a little bit later.
You know, and so here's the funny thing, guys. So Chris and and Sean came to me to talk about their numbers and, just kind of get an understanding of their numbers. And I was into the second meeting, and in my head, he said, "We rent these out." I'm thinking Hyundai's, right? You go to a car rental, you rent a Hyundai, and then suddenly I'm going, he's saying really strange things like street legal. Like, of course, I'm like, finally said, "What?" Talking about. And then when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, I have got to have you on the show. Now, everybody in the audience, does that not look fun? I just want to get on that and go drive around Long Beach. That looks so much fun. Absolutely. So, Chris, you're on the backpacking trip. Let's go back and we're going to show some pictures later, but let's walk through this story because yeah, you're on a backpacking and I've been on a backpacking trip and many times and I was going to solve all world problems on the backpacking trip. For sure, I know that feeling, but how in the world did you get from backpacking to this idea? Because this idea to me is really unique.
Yeah, thank you. So Sean and I have been best friends for a long time, and we've always wanted to go into business together. And we often said like we should start a savings account now, so when we finally get our brilliant idea, we'll have some money to pull from. So for this particular backpacking trip, we were just talking about like tourism in Long Beach and stuff, and we're also talking about how we're the largest polluted city of all because of our port. So and we also saw that there was a gap in between transportation here in Long Beach. So it's called like that last mile or so, but it's also a gap in fun, right? So we bridge the two. Like, so these vehicles are perfect for just cruising the streets, like Second Street, Fourth, downtown, um, and they're used for short distances. So, knowing the smog that we have here, the pollution and everything, we wanted a small footprint. So, we thought the best way to do that is all electric vehicles. Of course, we want to, our part of our slogan or our mantra is like, let's get rid of the gas vehicles and all change over to electric vehicles. And we just see that for our company, but we see that for, everybody. As we all know, California is going to be going in that direction. And we thought that'd be the best thing we could do to help our community. And along the way, make some money.
That's awesome. Now let's walk back on. So you have where, and as you were telling me, and I only know a little bit because, like I said, we were mostly talking about the finance angles. But an individual could rent this as well as a corporation, and from a business model, that's what I thought was really interesting because you're serving corporations as well as individuals. So let's kind of walk through each one, how a individual takes advantage, and then how you as the company owner has to get the vehicle to the individual and how you handle that aspect. And then I also know that you sell them sometimes. So let's kind of walk through each of the revenue streams, Chris, and kind of the good, bad, ugly, pros, cons, anything you want to mention, because what I love is you've got multiple revenue streams with one product. And that's a beautiful business model that adds a little bit of safety, security, and growth opportunity. That's me being my usual business sense, right? But let's walk through that. Did one start before the other, et cetera? I got so much more to ask about that because I'm fascinated by it. So
Oh
you take
yeah.
the stage.
Thank you. I love talking about it. So originally when we started, the first idea was rentals, but we figured out that we can bring in money in multiple streams. So you mentioned three of them: the sales, the shuttles, and the rentals. But the fourth is marketing. So ad purchasing.
Ah,
Um,
wow,
so
that's even better.
so right now we have an app that we're developing where you can purchase space on our app, and we could do like this cool thing called geofencing, right? So if you're one of our vehicles and you have our app open, because you're going to need the app now to scan the QR code, and it's all completely frictionless, so you can rent a vehicle on site. So if you have the app on and you happen to, let's say, drive by Legends, and if we have a geofence, right? It'll hit an alert on your phone telling you, hey, come to Legends. We got 15% off right now. Um, And we can also do the same geofencing to Legends competitors. So you drive by there, Legends pop up. Okay, 15%, go now, so and show this and tell us where you were at. So stuff like that, really fun stuff. So we also use those marketing opportunities for branding our vehicles. We'll show you some of those images later. It's a big conference we're working on that's coming up called the TPM, and it starts Monday next week. But yeah, so those are the 4 streams. First, rentals are for single use. And right now, we just closed a deal with Hilton. So we'll have 1 vehicle there 24/7 on site for their guest and for promotional ideas. And we'll have 4 e-bikes. We didn't talk about that yet because it just happened.
Okay.
So we just got in the e-bike market too. So we are now renting e-bikes. The whole way this is all possible is because of this app we're developing. It's brilliant. It works for us. We don't have to be there, right? So
Yeah,
this is
let's
a way.
talk about this. Walk through this
Yeah,
app because
yeah.
this is the business model stuff. So give us just the overview of what the app does and then walk us through it so we got a good feel. Because I think, just as a side note, we had somebody on a couple weeks ago that was involved in offering CPR classes. I thought
Mhm.
we were really going to talk about all this other stuff. It ended up being the process that they developed to schedule that made them the biggest claim to fame and be able to sell the company. It wasn't the CPR classes as much as it was this process. So here is another talk where we early on, we've got a process. So jump into this because this is fascinating.
No, I love that you brought that up because there's so many other ideas about the process that I'm looking into right now, what I can do differently or just on the side besides this company. Because developing this company, I've learned other things, other gaps. And I'm like, okay, there's something we could do about that too. But let me focus on this for right
Yeah, yeah.
now. So yeah, the app is amazing. Like this is really changing a lot of things for us, and it's always been in development. We started thinking about this app a long time ago. We were kind of developing it on our own. I was developing it. It's a note. I was using this note code program where you don't need to know coding to program. And I was doing that, but it just got too intense for me. I didn't have time. So I found a company that's able to do these apps, and they already have one together. It's for for rideshare mobility.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, the app is great. So basically, what you can do if you download our app, you see one of our vehicles, and if you see one of our vehicles, you hit the QR code, and the app will pop up. You can download it. You can create your own profile, and from there, you can rent our vehicles or bikes. Right now, the business model is to keep those vehicles and bikes in specific places like the Hilton, and then we'll do the Maya and the Marriott and stuff like that. So we want to keep those secure right now. Eventually, though, with this app, we can park our vehicles or bikes in different areas of Long Beach, and you can rent directly from the street. With the app, you're able to. We pay for extra for it's an identification process where they verify your identification. So we have rules. First, you can't rent a bike if you're under 16. You can't rent one of our vehicles if you're under 21. And then we verify the insurance too for those.
Oh, I was going to ask
Um,
you about that. Okay.
yeah, and with the app, like I said earlier, like we could do geofencing, so we control where those vehicles go. We always know where the vehicles are. We collect a lot of data about how far they're going, how long they're rented, all that good stuff. But the brilliant part we feel is the marketing part because that just adds to the fun of what we're doing already. And we always saw this as part of our income, our potential income. So when we saw this app, we're like, oh, this is everything I was working on. I'm just going to purchase this now and like move us forward faster than it would have took for me to just continue to develop that app.
So in other words, you could get where somebody is done with the rental, they park it in a spot, or you have this place they're supposed to park it. The next person comes up, uses the app, the car, well, it's open, right? But they're able to get into it and then take off from there. And so it's really able to be done without that pain that you have to go into the rental place and fill. I just rented a car for a day while I had my car in the shop, and it takes so long to go through. Even though I did it online, it was still a painful process internally. You're eliminating all of those aspects, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, so this allows us to scale faster and bigger, right? when we don't have to actually touch things every time. Originally, the idea was to stay completely frictionless, right? And that was the idea from the concept from the beginning, but it also really worked for us because, well, we don't have the money to for a brick and mortar. So we've sold ourselves as white glove, right? We bring the vehicle to you, we pick it up. And we do the same thing for sales right now until we can, afford our own brick and mortar. We bring the car to you, you get to test drive it. And people love that. They're like, this is a great service. We love that aspect of it. But like I said, yeah, going back to the app, like this allows so much for us to do. Already with the Hilton, as soon as we, can prove efficacy here at the Hilton, they're ready to move on to other Hiltons. So we're
Oh,
super stoked right now. This could be a huge deal. We're actually delivering our first vehicle and bikes on Friday.
okay, here we got some pictures of the Hilton. So tell us what we're looking at here, Chris.
Absolutely. So, for the Hilton special deal, we've contracted for them to have these at the Hilton, one of our vehicles, and 4 bikes. So these basically stay on site, and we allow the Hilton branding on it, the Hilton color, the Hilton logo. So when their guests come, they feel this is a branded vehicle from the Hilton, and they feel more secure about it. It could be ours too, but we felt this really helped with their guests. The trust of the Hilton brand and name really felt much stronger than just having our name on it.
Awesome. And so it's really just the guest at the Hilton though. No, not somebody else is going to be able to come into the Hilton and rent it. It's specific to the guest in the Hilton.
It's specific to the guests in the Hilton, and we're creating a lot of promos with them just for their guests.
Gotcha. Now, one thing, and I might be jumping a little ahead, but I think it's really a good time to speak on this because I found this fascinating. So, talk a little bit about, I'm going to say, the events and how you shuttle in the events, because I think that was a fascinating, brilliant business model and use of the cars. So, because that's another corporation situation. So, but it's unique.
Absolutely.
That's not like the Hilton. So, talk to us about
Yeah. Absolutely. So we do two, like we were talking about when we're working together, is we do 2 shuttles, right? We do event shuttles where we basically pick up at the parking lot, we take them to the front of the event, we drop them off, and at night we bring them back.
Give us
We
an
do,
example of an event so people understand
yeah,
what we're
absolutely.
talking about big
So
events.
2 weeks ago we had Cali Vibes here in Long Beach, right? It's a huge event, a lot of stars. So in that case, people see our vehicles. We have all these beautiful, cool glow lights, and we have loud music. It's an entertainment. It's a thing, right? And people love to take those from the parking lot because they don't want to walk
Right.
to the entrance, or they just want the experience, right? So there's that aspect there. So we do that all night. We did it for 3 days. It's long, long, long hours and a long weekend for us, but it's great. The second shuttle we do is for corporate events, right? And I have some images to share with you all for DHL coming up here shortly. But with DHL, for example, they hired us to brand their vehicle and pick up their VIP guest.
Here we go. We got DHL on the screen now.
Yeah, so these are A-frame signs that we are going to set around downtown Long Beach, and their guests will know, like, this is where they grab the shuttle.
Okay.
And you'll see the next images of the car. So when this vehicle pulls up, they present their shuttle card, and our driver knows that we can take them to the next spot. And we have designated spots that we go to. So it's A, B, A, C, and then back to A. So it's going back and forth, back and forth. So these are branded events through corporations, and this has really taken off for us. So the TPM convention is huge, and they spend a lot of money. So we actually got contacted by the company One. They rented 6 shuttles. And then DHL got one, and then OCL Logistics purchased another for the 2 days. So yeah, corporations for this has been really great. Nespresso is one of our other sponsors. Right now, we are closing in on a deal with not only Legends Bar, but their vendors, all their alcohol vendors. We we showed them our data. Like, okay, this is how many events we do a year. This is how many people see our cars. This is
Yeah.
what we do. Like, we're up and down 4th Street for First Fridays. We're up and down 4th Fridays. We're up and down Bixby Knolls for First Fridays. This is how many eyes are on us. Look, we can put LED screens inside the cars too. And then we show them the wraps, like, and then they're sold. They're like, wow, okay, we can put this here and this. And then, so they're really stoked about that. And we're really close to really figuring out some numbers. And I can't wait to talk to you about that later.
Wait, you know what, Chris, and like I said, if I miss any of this, you correct me. But what I love about how brilliant this is first and foremost, one of the things that I hated going to events is you have to park way out there, then you're walking, you go through the event, you're exhausted, you walk back, and that's just part and parcel of being in the LA Metroplex area. You know, it's just crowded. That's part and parcel of that, right? So you've solved a irritation that the humans attending the event have. Then you've done it in, not only am I going to get a shuttle, but it's going to be friggin' fun. It's not like one of those boring buses you get on when you're at the airport and everybody puts their luggage on and everybody's
Yeah.
quiet. You got this like party already coming up to you. And then you've got corporations that would be willing to foot the bill for the transportation for the people because everybody is seeing their brand name and it's zipping around. And you know, a lot of times we see billboards, it's got a company name we may notice, but the cars get noticed first, which
Yeah.
then you go, what is that? Well, is it Legends? Is it DHL? What is that? So, I mean, it's just such a, like I said, once I got into what you're doing, I was like, this is brilliant, fascinating on every single level. Now, what are you seeing for, let's, I want to go back one step. I'm going to step back. I want to go to the individuals that are purchasing it for the day or what have you, or the hour. What are you finding? Are the individuals purchasing it because they want to go fun? They need to get someplace? Are they using it for transportation, entertainment, a little both? What have you noticed?
Yeah. Great question. So this company wouldn't have started if I didn't do my research first, right? So the first thing I did was, are we solving a problem that's really a problem?
Yeah.
So, it sounds great to me. It sounds great to Sean, but is it really a problem? So, you know, what do you call it? Get out of the office, right? So, I went to the Grand Prix. I rented a 6-passenger vehicle because I didn't have one at the time. Sean did, but he ran into a curb like day before and messed up the axle. So I am like hopeless, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So my neighbor, he had a 6-seat passenger, so I rented his out for the day. Um, and I created a survey, right, with some really basic questions and the questions I needed answered. So I went down the Grand Prix. I I hung out at the parking lots and I said, anyone to get a ride? And I'm like, how much? I'm like, it's free. And they're like, what's the catch? I go, okay, good question. That's fair. And I had a QR code and they had to hit the QR code and then a survey popped up,
I
right?
love it.
They had a bunch of questions and answers, and then I dropped them off at the gate. Everyone was happy. It was fun. So after that, I went through all the information, the data, and the question I really wanted was to see what our target audience said. And our target audience said we would love to rent these when we're in town. And then I asked them, like, do you want to be driven or do you want to drive yourself? They're like, we want to drive ourselves. So I think I got it I think out of everyone that was out of town, my rate was around 87%. So I was really ecstatic about that. And then locals were around 50%. But after seeing those numbers, I was like, okay, I'm we're moving forward. Like, this proves what we've been saying. So I'm happy there. Um, and at the time too, like, I found out that Circuit was possibly coming to town. I always feared that they were going to come into town, which they already have. Um, and I found out about them, like, in 2020 or
So the
2021.
audience knows because they may not know. Can you tell them who Circuit is
Oh,
and what
yes.
yeah, so they know
Okay.
that.
Oh, sorry about that. So Circuit is a company where the city hires them and they give free rides around town, right? So, like for Huntington Beach, they do like a mile around Main Street. And in Long Beach, they have 2 areas, right? They have one in downtown Long Beach, which travels around like a mile and a half around downtown. And then they have one in Belmont Shore, which does the same thing. So you call them up on an app or whatever, and they pick you up and they take you to where you want within that mile, right? Um, we thought that was an awesome solution, but it wasn't a solution to a problem that we were trying to fix. So we said, oh, okay, well, I think we can both coincide if they come into Long Beach. We knew that Long Beach was going to start asking for proposals. We just could not do it. We were so young, we were so new. We barely had enough to buy our first car. So what they were looking for was, a whole like thing put together already, like
Yeah.
collecting data that we were just not prepared for. So we knew they were coming to town, but we were prepared because we knew we offered something so different, so unique and fun. And that's what I got from the survey too. Is like people want this, and what they want to do with this is exactly what you said. They want their tourists. They want to explore Long Beach. They want to find those little cool areas that they just haven't heard about, or they're at lunch and they overhear the neighbor here speaking about this cool area, and they want to go check it out themselves.
They
And in
want
doing
freedom.
so,
They want
yeah,
freedom. They
they
don't
want
want somebody
freedom.
picking up. They want freedom, just like you're backpacking. They want
Yeah,
freedom. They want freedom and they want to play and they want to explore.
exactly. And that's what we sell. So going into this, we knew what we're doing is we're selling Long Beach, right? This is
Mm.
a tourist industry. In our research, it was like pre-pandemic was like $1.8 billion in tourism. And we were excited about those numbers. And we're like, and then I looked at transportation numbers, and we're like, if we get 0.01% of that money on transportation alone, like we'll do really well. So all that came into fruition, and all our ideas came to fruition when we found out all this research too. And everything was pointing to go do it. And all our surveys said fun, 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 entertainment, explore, get outside. So and that's what people are doing. Most of our clients right now are tourists. So we market to Airbnb and VRBO, we market to the hotels. And the business model early on was we want them to schedule a car ahead of time before they come into town. That was your goal, and that's still the goal. So we're still working towards that. But most people, when they get here, is when they call us up. They find out about us.
Well, you know what's awesome about it? Because if you're a tourist, yeah, you can ride a bike, you can rent a bike, but then you're really riding when you can't carry anything, or you're renting a full-on car. And so I would assume that these, even though they're just riding on the road, they still have a little easy at maneuvering or parking or getting around or just more exploring. So you've got the best of both worlds. Even the rental to get you there is fun. And that it is perfect. Now, do you have to carry, I'm assuming, insurance in the same capacity like somebody's renting a Hyundai? Because they don't have their own insurance. I'm assuming you can't like use your car insurance, so you have to insure and the cars and how to or insure them or what if they run over a million people? You know what I'm saying? I'm exaggerating, but I'm just asking. There's got to be a huge insurance component to this. I can't imagine there's not. So let's chat a little bit about that and how much research you had to do to make sure you're properly covered, because that's one of the biggest scares I would think was risk.
Oh, I mean, this keeps us up at night.
Yeah.
So going into this, what we first thought, the first thing we did was get a lawyer. Everyone's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just go on, the internet. You'll get an LLC." I go, "There's absolutely no way I'm doing that, Sean." I'm like, "We'll spend the money up front." I think we spent like 7 G's up front,
I
um,
bet.
and I thought that was on the low end too. So the first thing we thought is like it's not if an accident is going to happen, it's when. So
And
we have to
exactly.
be prepared for that. So we got a lawyer right up front, which helped us with incorporating our terms and conditions, our policies, our just our shares, our owners agreements. Everything was laid out that you needed to start a corporation, right? She helped us get that done early on. Along with that was our research for insurance. Insurance is not cheap, right? So we carry a lot of insurance for general liability for rentals, physical damage for rentals, general liability for e-bikes and physical damage. We have general liability for shuttles and then physical damage. So there, some of the obviously we have to double dip and pay twice for those, but it's the way insurance is mapped out. And for what we're doing is so new that people don't know how to insurance. And some insurance are calling us petty bikes. I'm like, we're not petty bikes. We're a car.
Yeah.
It's registered. It's a street legal vehicle. It's just slower. So insurance has been a pain in the ass
That.
since jump. I mean, it's still a pain in the ass because we're working with different brokers right now. We're trying to shift over to a new insurance, something with more favorable rates right now, and we want to try to get everything in a package now that we added the e-bike. So
Yeah.
um, if I can say, yeah, insurance is crazy. It is crazy. I had to bring on help because with the workload between Sean and I, insurance takes one person to deal with by themselves. I mean, at least for us, and like I said, we're kind of a specialty. People don't know how to insure us or what we're considered really.
Yeah. You know,
It's different than a regular golf cart insurance, right? Like if I'm a homeowner, I can add golf cart insurance, no problem, right? But for what we're doing, it's completely different.
oh, because 'cause you're on the road, that's a whole
Yeah.
'nother risk level, and, I'd like to bring up, just an opportunity to state, a lot of times what I tell people is I'm a big DIY, I'm not against DIY, but there are certain business models that you wanna incorporate right off. Most people can operate as a sole prop, they get an LLC way too soon, but there are some that need to be incorporated right off. This is a perfect example, and this is also a perfect example that you don't go on some kind of website and download a template. Some companies have risk just from their existence, and you gotta pay out immediately to secure. I can imagine that. Now, then, when you get the cars, you own the cars, you lease the cars, you also, I think, sell the cars. So obviously, you're starting out. I'm assuming you're not completely a rich human being on planet Earth that's walking around wondering what to do with all your money. And so it brings up the words, Chris, bootstrap. And our audience likes to hear about bootstrapping. Now, we don't have to get in specifics, but just walk us through, how did you maneuver the high cost of this business model and the game you're playing and kind of, work around the limited funds I'm assuming that you have?
Yeah, no, great question. Yeah, Sean and I bootstrapped this whole project from the get-go. We spent a lot of our own money up front, and which allowed us to get started with like the lawyer and everything else. But we also had to get a loan. We got an SBDC loan, and that helped us purchase a few cars and helped with a little bit of marketing. Um, but yeah, it is tough when you're getting started. I'm not rich. Sean's not rich. People today, they're like, "Oh, you guys got a company. You guys must have some money." I'm like, "Come check out my little ass apartment. I live paycheck to paycheck right now. Like, I'm not gonna really be seeing money for another year, like, if not more." Like, all the money goes right back into the company, and, right now is a time where we have to spend, and it's just the way it is. I spent a lot of money on marketing, getting new cars, fixing our cars, like, there's a lot of expenses goes into this, so, um but yeah, uh, hopefully we get a lot more money coming in soon because we really want to grow right now, and we have so much potential to grow right now. We're just limited on our funds, and I think that's what hurts a lot of companies. Like, you're there, you're almost there, you're putting together some deals, but once you're limited with funds, you can't really move.
And what I love about having the audience hear this is a true situation. Too many times entrepreneurs think they need funds to grow, but they really hadn't thought through the business model. They didn't have specific usage of the funds, as we would say in banking. But in your case, you are continuing to get opportunity, but you have what we call in banking and finance an asset heavy business model. You've got equipment. It doesn't matter that you don't have a brick and mortar. It's actually would be cheaper if you just had a brick and mortar. You've got a really heavy, intense asset.
Mm.
And in that, Chris, let's talk a little bit. Once again, not getting in detail, but as you know, because you hear me preaching to you guys all the time, the importance of really, really understanding your cost. And a lot of times people will say, even when they're selling a product that's simple and manufactured, well, I can't figure out my cost. And I say, you still have to spend the big, heavy lifting mental, because you can't be selling things without really knowing what it's cost. And we're still in the process with your business. It's quite complicated. We're still trying to look at it. And so we don't have an answer to exactly how to figure out all of the cost factors on these different offerings, but we know the importance of doing so. So in that, just if you could speak briefly to our kind of discussions, not necessarily where we're trying to figure out, but the importance of really knowing your cost.
I love that you said that and brought that up because that's exactly how we were feeling. I'm like, we need to speak with Lori. Like, I don't want this to be a hobby. Like, I want to make some money. And right now we're doing well. We're doing well. We haven't had to invest any more capital. We're sustaining ourselves, but you know, we we grossed a lot last year, but how much was really profit?
Right.
And we know those,
Exactly. Yeah. I always tell you
yeah,
profit matters, not
yeah,
revenue, profit. Yep.
yeah. So you know, working with you, we're trying to break down, you know, like where can we be more efficient? Where do we have to charge more? To really see that profit percentage that we're looking for per vehicle. You know, per the expense of the vehicle, we need to match that in profit. Um, so I can't say how much more important that is. Like it is so important, and I don't feel comfortable until I have those answers. Like right now, it's just been a lot of like go, get these deals, put it together. Um, Charge what you think is appropriate as of right now, charge what you see at the market's charger or what the market will pay. Um, but breaking down those numbers to truly understand what your decisions, why you're making those decisions, is more important to me. Like I want to know why I made that decision and how important that was for my profit margin, opposed to let's get in that area. Like I don't really know why I did that, but it works. I don't like that feeling at all.
No.
So it is super important, and as we continue to work with you, we want to break that down like to its finest piece.
No, and
Yeah.
yours was, yours has so many moving parts, like even with the staffing, you're sometimes staffing, guessing on the demand for the events and, trying to make sure you got people, but not sure when you're going to need them. I mean, it's complicated, but like I try to really express, and we're definitely deep into it right now, every single thing can be calculated, even if you use statistics and probability. But even in our little exercises we've done so far, you've been able to look at and go, well, that profit margin isn't matching that one. Well, we didn't consider this cost and we didn't consider that time. So evidence and little bits of information keeps coming up once you put it on paper. Ideas are great, but eventually you got to buy yourself a quart of milk, is what I always say. Say, great idea, but can you buy a quart of milk? Because until you can buy a quart of milk, or you're going to have to, sooner or later. So in that, talk a little bit about the marketing, because we were talking before we started that you are now, Chris is officially a professional salesperson. So, and that's how I see you. I see you as the professional salesperson. But a lot of our audience are right now. That's so good that Chris had a sales background because I don't have a sales background. Okay, correct him on that, Chris. Talk about your new claim to fame as being a professional salesperson.
Okay, so my background is I went to school to be a designer, graphic designer. I've been doing branding and design for the last 18 years or so. So I'm used to telling stories, but it's different. It's you know, it's visual, it's advertising, it's marketing. So telling the stories was more like pitches. But now I have to actually make a pitch and then I got to follow through with an actual sale. I got to close a deal. So and I know you're probably thinking, well, you rent cars. What do you mean? But like for the Hilton,
Yeah.
I've been working on that deal since I would say July of last year. And everything's been growing great. And but I have to show up every time and ready to sell. And like I didn't know this part of me. I really didn't. And since I've started this company with me and my business partner, I've had to speak to so many new people and sell our ideas and really get them convinced and see the value of what we're doing. Once that's happens, and then the customers come in. But it's funny though, like I never saw myself as this person at all. I thought my business partner was better at this because he can get along with anyone he meets like instantly. So he's kind of taken that role too, but I was just really surprised that I've come in and done it and been able to do it myself. But yeah, I did not start as sales, but
Well, and Chris, if you can comment with some inspiration on this, what I hear a lot from entrepreneurs, they're really nervous when they have to approach any company or individual that they figure are bigger or more advanced or corporate, and they're have a really hard time speaking and selling themselves because they feel, I'm just going to use kind of an expression so you understand what I'm saying, like they're not worthy of the executive of Hilton's time to discuss this idea. They have a really hard time breaking that barrier when they get into these more executive official meetings if they don't have a background doing that. Any thoughts that you can share with our audience on how you overcame that to have these big, very serious discussions with contracts, etc., with these people that own these big corporations?
no, it's a great question. So my background, like I said, is 18 years in branding. So I've had the opportunity throughout my years to speak to executives. So in large companies, I used to design for Billabong and Skechers and Doug
Okay.
Edwards, very large companies. So I've had some comfortability there. I speak with a lot of execs in in meetings about the design and stuff and branding. So I've had some experience there. So I didn't go into that new. Um, but in regards to the confidence and the self-esteem to speak with these people, um, I'm still learning all the time. Like it doesn't go away. Like I was a little nervous to get on this call. Like it does not go away. You just got to figure out how you're going to deal with it, and that's the best I could say. Like I do breathing exercises before I get on. Even to the smallest pitches, it's like it's just part of it's the nature of it. Um, so but so what I've noticed too is everyone has a job and they're all just regular people just like you and I. Um, and if you take that aspect of the name of Hilton away from it, they're just a cool person that you're developing a conversation with, just as we're doing here right now.
Exactly. And as long as you know, and also, I'm assuming, and I'm going to do an assumption, Chris, I'm sure at times you had to say, in a way, well, they asked a question and you probably hadn't thought about it, like a agreement or a contract or how something would work, because you're kind of bringing the idea to the executive as the executive is saying their needs, but you didn't have this program in place. So I'm assuming you ran into a situation where you're kind of having to either make it up on the fly or simply say, I don't know how that would work, but let me think about it and get back to you. And that's where people get caught up. They feel like they have to have every duck in the row, know every answer, no. And I can't imagine you had every answer. Did you run into situations and advice with people on that when you're kind of creating a brand new pathway as you go along?
Yeah, most definitely. If anyone knows anyone from the Hilton, please keep this between us. Um, so I had a whole deck presentation planned out, exactly what we're gonna offer, what we're gonna do. I showed them how they can utilize their own marketing to include us, how they can at checkout, they can add a car. Like I put this together, like it was solid. I was even using IoT devices on their own app that they have to trigger videos in their lobbies, stuff like that, really personalized things. Um, and they love it. They're good with that. But then the question was like, we want e-bikes. I was like, yeah, we were talking about getting into e-bikes. We like Sean and I had that idea, but we were nowhere near going into e-bikes. And it's I could have at that point said, let's think about it. But um, I wanted this deal so bad. I'm like, yeah, we can. Like, we know this app that we're developing blends so well with e-bikes. So pretty much we could put anything on that app. So and then it got to a point where it was just like, okay, now immediately let's look for insurance. Let's go get our business license. So we had to get our new business license for e-bikes and stuff. So that has happened. And there's been situations where, I did not have an answer at all. And it's like, yeah, it's no problem. Like, let's consider that and I'll get back to you on that. So
Exactly. And that's the answer. Being around for so many years and engaged with so many companies, I cannot tell you the number of the times where the customers created some of the business model. They had an idea, they had a demand. You said either, yes, we can do it, or let's find out how. And then suddenly you're offering and then being able to offer it to others. So, being engaged in those situations and finding out what the customers want. Sometimes, it's the old concept of the soap and the Wrigley Spirit gum, that they first had the gum in the soap and people were like, I really don't want the soap, I want the gum. And so they finally got rid of the soap and started doing the gum. Some entrepreneurs say, no, you're taking the soap, forget the gum, I'm eliminating the gum, I want you to, they were like,
right,
okay,
right.
what's the gum, I'm going to sell the gum. And it's a true story, but it's also an old MBA lesson
Yeah.
on really listen to your customers and don't get so steadfast in offering it the way that you want to, unless it's not profitable to do so. Yeah, exactly. So
Exactly.
as you start dreaming and envisioning, I'm seeing, kind of this thing where there's going to be a car on every corner. But what do you and Sean, when you start dreaming without limitations, where do do you see it going? And also, I want to add to that, Chris, do you see the corporate or the individual or one of them kind of fast pacing the other as far as your revenue streams or the
Great,
marketing?
great question. All the above. But to get back to what you're just saying, yeah, like we went into this with rentals, right? And we had these other ideas. We're just not ready to get to those. But we said, let's let the market dictate what we're going to do because it may change, right? And we started to see a slow process for the rentals. And then we saw a really uptick for the shuttles. And then our sales exploded to help us keep our company going. So really, the market dictated what we're at right now. I mean, these were plans in the background, but like I said, our whole plan was on the rentals. Really, that was our hero, right? Didn't turn out that way. Rentals are still good, but it didn't turn out that way. But going forward, the shuttles are just killing it. We're expanding on that. We just purchased 2 new 6-seaters. The vehicles you guys just saw, we just purchased 2 more of those. We continue to get more calls for corporations. We're starting to get calls for bar crawls because people saw our video on bar crawls. For private parties, we're moving into more community events. Like we also volunteer here in Long Beach, like Juneteenth or Pride and Proud festivals. We volunteer for those. We'll give rides to like ADA people or just people that don't want to walk. We help out there too. Going forward though, man, so yes. So we're looking at these cute little 2-seaters right now, and we plan to put those, as many spots as we can, and we want people to be able to really to go ahead and rent as you go. Just the same scooter concept model. We're not reinventing the wheel there. We're just trying to, jump on that. And that's all possible because of that app. The app makes a lot of things that we've been wanting to do possible. But really going forward, we're still looking at partial ownerships of cars. A lot of people have said, I'd love to have one, but it doesn't fit in my garage or I don't have place to charge it. And so we're going to start offering a storage of vehicles and partial ownership. So 2 people owning it, 3 people owning it, whatever, we store it, white glove service, we clean it, we bring it out to you, we charge it, all that good stuff. We see that is a really important thing going forward. And like I said earlier, we're looking at a brick and mortar right now. So hopefully we can get that in there and that'd be a good storage area. And we moved into the mechanics too. So we work on cars, mostly evolution vehicles, but we've worked on some other cars too. So
Wow,
there's a
there's
lot. There's a lot.
there is a lot, a lot, a lot. Just to follow up, I got most all the questions that were in the Q&A. We talked about all, but one was asked about how to find an app developer, and so many in our audience do look for app developers. So I would just wanted to say, any thoughts or any comments or any referrals on somebody you like that you'd want to mention on the app development part?
Yeah. So like I said, I was doing it myself because I went back to school a couple years ago to get my master's too. So I learned a program where you don't need to be a developer. Uh,
Okay.
like almost like you can go online and WordPress and create a
Okay.
website. You can do the same thing for an app. So I started to do it there, and then I just got like I don't have time. So then I found this app that actually is for micromobility, and they had just signed with Gem Vehicles. There's another cars like ours, similar to ours, and I saw that. So then I contacted them, and then we started the conversation about how we can introduce our vehicles and bikes on their app.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, as we end here, first of all, I told you, audience, this was going to be entertaining and fun and inspirational. I wasn't lying. I could see from the chats, they're loving this. So, everybody, check out, first of all, before I pass it back to you, Chris, for final words, Lauren has put Chris's information in. Everybody that's in Long Beach, run down there, rent one of these cute ones, support Chris and Sean in their new company. Go check it out. Let everybody know. In fact, here's what I'm going to say. You ready for this, Lauren? Everybody, if you go near Chris's vehicle, do a selfie, put it on Instagram, and put his website, okay? You're going to look cute. The car looks cute. It's going to be a great Instagram. Chris, last final comments, words that you want to leave with the audience today?
Oh, that's a tough one. There's
Giving
so
us a
many.
lot.
Okay, definitely, like I said early on, lawyer up immediately early. You want to be within legal round area. Second was do not skimp on the marketing. Everything's about marketing. If they don't know you're there, they're not going to buy your product. That's simply it. My business partner early on was like, let's spend less. I'm like, no. I'm in branding and marketing, and everyone says, no, we don't. We got to spend more. And then that's tough. Design, like if you can find an inexpensive designer, even if it's not the best up front and you have to pay, a little cheaper, just do it. Get some professional work, and put it out there. Marketing is everything. Marketing is everything. We plan to spend a lot more this year too. So, and work with Lori. She's amazing. She'll get your numbers straight. And I can't say that. There's not enough words to say that. She's amazing. And I've
And
met
I'm in your face, aren't I, Chris? I know after the first meeting, he's like, wow, we got this. And I was like in their face. I was in your face for a whole meeting. I thought to myself, they're not going to call me back, but they really need to. And they're like, we really need to figure this out. You're right. So the fact that he said that's kind of amazing, because like I said, I see a lot of ideas, but you've got a lot going on too, Chris. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you. I knew this was going to be so fun. The minute I saw one of these, I was like, this has got to be discussed. So already know, Chris, I am going to follow back with you probably no more than 4 or 5 months, because this is a story in process and we're going to want to know updates. Okay. So already know that we're going to invite you back on and we want to hear what you're involved in next and what's taken off. And I'm sure many in Long Beach are going to know because they're going to see these everywhere. So Lauren, was that not fun?
Yes. I mean, it's the perfect concept though, right? I mean, especially in communities like Long Beach or those beach communities, or small communities, just to get around, because especially renting a car, I mean, can be so cumbersome. And then you're looking for, all the things. So
Yeah.
I think this is awesome. And Chris, I don't know if you've had a chance, but if you check out that chat, everyone is just so happy that you were with us and just so open. Thank you for the authenticity and just, speaking to us today.
Well,
Thank you.
wonderful. Well, thanks again, Chris. And thank you so much, our frequent flyers that are here every single week with us. We really appreciate you. And anyone that came new to the show, welcome. We hope to see you next week on Small Biz Talks with your host, Lori Williams. Lauren's going to stay behind. Make sure you get Chris's information, my information. You got questions. Remember, Lauren makes sure that every single email you send to her gets to me. So you're being heard. So with that, I am going to check off for the day, leave you in the hands with Lauren, and I will see everybody next week. And thanks again, Chris. We'll be talking soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Thanks.
Please go ahead and take a look at the chat. I went ahead and re-entered my email address. Let me pop over here really quickly. You'll see my email address if you want to get in contact with Lori, or if you want to get in contact with Chris. I'm happy to pass you guys over to them. I have the links to the sessions that Lori has coming up, so check that out. Oh, Marty, you just made my day. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so glad you guys are able to join us today. I'm glad you guys are able to hear me today. We just look forward to seeing you again next week. That's going to be Wednesday. Thanks, Chris. It's going to be Wednesday at 10 a.m. for another episode of your favorite show, Small Biz Talk, solutions for your small business. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye.